Welcome back to the Cavecast, everybody, the uncensored show for nerds of all kinds. And if this is your first time checking us out, we want to, as always, welcome you to the show and encourage you to hit that subscribe button as well as that notification bell. That way you never miss an upload. And if you're listening to us on the radio side of things in podcast form, whether it be Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or anything else, make sure you follow us. That way you never miss an episode, because audio allows you to multitask. There's no reason why you can't listen, but you could watch too. It's whatever you want to do. So with that being said, Eric.
I felt weird. I was like staring right at the camera as you I was like, oh, I didn't. So you just like started out of, you just started out of nowhere. So I was like weirdly eye banging the camera for a second.
I don't give warnings. I just let the chips fall where they may. And do I really look like a guy with a plan? So tonight's no, nobody has a plan. Anybody that says that they have one is figuring out how to get their plan working. They don't have a plan.
Nobody has plans.
But the wonderful sipping drink of whiskey. Tonight, we're going to be talking about the wonderful drink that is whiskey. Now, if you've never had yourself a whiskey, I highly suggest trying one, of course, if you are of age. But
if you're not, just don't say nothing.
No, don't do it. So I will.
That way nobody will know.
Everyone's going to turn into like, see, the Cavecast promotes underage drinking. No, we do not.
No, I'm just saying, don't be
drink.
dumb.
What's wrong with you? No,
yeah.
But, no. So my question for you is, I mean, yours and my history with alcohol is very different. And then how we went things, or whether it is through severity or whether it is with type or, like anything else.
You didn't drink liquor for a long time. No,
it was something I just had no desire. I
mean, that's fine. There's people like that.
I saw everybody that I was surrounded by, friends and acquaintances of said friends that their whole thing was, seeing, how much whiskey they could drink in like on a night or whatever, like, with putting it in drinks and stuff. So like the idea of like shots, liquor, whiskey, vodka, like all that stuff, it really kind of had a stigma with me for a while, because it was just like, dude, like you're just trying to get drunk. That's all you're trying to do is just be stupid and be belligerent and all that. And so like, that's my kind of, experience as like what, started my journey as far as that's concerned.
Now, here's my question is if that was the case with your friends with like, liquor, not just whiskey, but like just liquor in general, as you were saying, what's the difference then? The same people or other people that you knew that was like, let's fucking shotgun beers and do that. Like how was that not the same kind of like outlook for you on it?
I've never seen somebody get blind rage mad and throw up after just a beer or two. I've seen people that have done shots in rows and have just like, there's just some like,
shots in rows. You went from 2 beers to like 7 shots. That's a huge difference.
It's just, the nature of the two alcohols are very different.
Correct.
There's a higher percentage of alcohol with liquor and with all that stuff. So it's like I always kind of knew that was an area, or in my mind that I just saw it as like, man, you know what? I'm like, that's just going to be the promised land of just, negativity. I'm just never going to go to, that's just how I viewed it for a long time.
Yeah. But, no, that's understandable. I mean, look at Canfield. He's never drank anything a day in his life. And
wrong lever.
Where did you go?
There we go. I went too low. Oh no.
But he has since stated that, several years ago, and I'm sure he still feels the same, but between you, Nick, I, John, even when we were all hanging out, and he has stated that he kind of wants to try to like liquor and a beer and stuff, because we kind of showed him that it's not always like that.
Yeah.
Because, Nick's environment was pretty much anything goes. There was like once or twice he got a little angry just because he got a little too drunk one night, but that was very few and far in between.
Right.
But Canfield has stated before, he's like, it actually he's like, it seems fun. Like you guys make it look fun, like it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
You know, we're big kids over there. We have our beverages and we play video games. Honestly, man, like that's what we do. And that was the highlight of our weekend. We didn't need to go out to the bar.
No.
But now going back to your thing with seeing your friends, and now that you've kind of indulged a little bit in that side of alcohol, you realize that even if you do go to the bar, it's you who controls it. So you can do it responsibly.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that sounds kind of like a catch-22, but it's the truth. You don't have to take 7 shots. Okay?
Even a rocket launcher needs to be aimed properly.
Right.
So, I mean, it's
right.
It's that idea where it's like, I mean, I'm not going to get into a weapons thing, but like, it's the truth where it's just like, there is a clear severity from that to a smaller form weapon. So it's like more responsibility needs to be taken, more, things like that.
But like I said, you did that. So it's really cool that we're kind of doing like whiskey facts, because for the longest time you were 100% just a beer guy.
Yeah.
And
I mean, for the most part, I still am. I mean, like it's, it's one of those where like, I mean, every once in a while we'll, get a bottle of something if it's cheap. Mainly like, you'll be like, hey man, found this. It was, it was, staring at me. It was super low price. Like, hey man, we'll have drinks for the next like 4 days, so
right.
it's whatever. But it is so interesting to me, how the stigma changed for me. And my question for you is, we could have a conversation about every type of spirit or every type of, thing,
right.
Because I mean, there's tons of things, but whiskey specifically, what was that ever something that you ever enjoyed just either like on its own or with something, or like, what was kind of like, assuming it's a good memory, but like, what do you associate with whiskey? Like, what do you think about whenever, like the good memories that you could have from that of like having a good drink or the situation that's around you, or, because again, it can be a very good thing or a very bad thing. So, I mean, depending on how you go about it.
There is a lot of good memories with whiskey, because again, 95% of the time, my, guy friends and things, they were not, if they had drank too much, they were just like goofy as shit, or they just pass out.
Yeah.
There was actually one person that I knew that it was shit. I think it was rum. He can't do. He's like, I could be stone cold sober. 1 shot, I will find the biggest dude in the bar and punch him in the face.
Right. It just makes him, makes him angry. Makes him
but
mean.
he knows that anything else goes. Anything else goes. He's one of my good friends. I mean, we haven't talked in a while, but he was my tattoo artist for a long time. Mark, he had all the clown heads.
Oh yeah. Clown head Mark.
But,
I remember him.
But he knew that. So as far as when it comes to like whiskey memories, all of them are actually relatively decent. I don't want to say nothing stands out more than the other, but it's hard to say as far as sitting at Nick's, or, I'm not trying to be cornball, but I never had that like whiskey with my dad or like, my grandpa kind of thing. Like I never had that shit. I drank whiskey at the bar.
Yeah.
I bought whiskey and I brought it home.
Like an adult.
Like an adult, right.
Yeah.
So I associate it just with a lot of good memories, especially with, granted, his was tequila, but a friend of ours that sadly took his life, we would just have really good times at the bar. None of us got belligerent. It was just, like I said, but I would be drinking, mixed drinks or whiskey or shots, and it just, so it all has a good memory to it. I got lucky.
Yeah.
I got lucky that I didn't really hang out with those kind of people that you were referring to that were always just a mess.
Yeah, it was something that, ironically, I mean, I always relate film and TV and things to like kind of, help my thought process, because it's what goes through my head constantly. But when I think of whiskey or like a drink that you have with a cigar or over a conversation is ironically enough, Boston Legal.
Okay.
Boston Legal is an awesome show. I'm not going to go into it, but Jane Spader and William Shatner. You don't got to say much more. It's a fantastic show. But Jane Spader and William Shatner's character, they're lawyers in Boston, obviously Boston Legal. And at the end of every day, they go to, I believe it's William's, his character's name is Denny Crane, but they go to Denny Crane's penthouse apartment where he has this huge just outside patio area, just in this beautiful overlook of the city. And it's always at the end of the episode. They've done their work. Yep. They've done their cases. They've won their cases. They've lost their cases. Something happened to them personally. One of them would get sick, or like something would happen, or it would be very real life things. And they would always still be in their 3-piece suits.
Okay.
And they had their pea coats on with their big stogies and their glass of, it was probably scotch or whatever, or something to that effect. But it was always just had that sip mentality of the whiskey. And that's how they always ended every show, was that it was just the two of them just talking about what happened. And, and sometimes it had nothing to do with it, and it was really funny. Sometimes it was really sad.
Yeah.
Sometimes it was really...
they needed it.
Yeah, it was just, whether a death occurred or something. It was just always so cool that, as a filmmaker, I look at that and I see character development. I see that these two have a very strong bond. And if you watch the show, it's incredible, ultimately, and where everything ends up. But what really kind of stuck out to me was I remember watching that show when I was relatively young. I was probably maybe, God, I can now say it, where it's I was 21, 22 or whatever. Yeah. And,
the old fuck.
Yeah, I'm getting there, man. It's so good. I can't wait till I'm old and senile. It's going to be great. But I don't know. I kind of had this moment of just wow, you can do this right.
Exactly.
Buck was also a very big influence on me. For whenever he would come over and hang out, he would always bring, whether it was, a new beer that we could try, or if it was something like that, he would always just be like, "Hey man," he's like, "I know you're not much of a liquor guy." He's like, "But," he's like, "I did bring something." He's like, "If you would like to try it." And I would be kind of all right, whatever. And then as the night would go on, I would start asking him about it, and I would take a sip, and I would try it, and I very much enjoyed it. The best whiskey I've actually ever had was at the Wolf Creek Winery in the distillery before it blew up.
Oh, okay.
Their bourbon, that's a whole story on its own. But
luckily nobody was hurt.
No, that was an act of God moment. It was weird.
It was at 2 in.
Basically the guy, the owner of the place, it was first thing in the mornings. What happened?
Oh, was it?
What happened was that they live, the people that run the winery, they actually live on the property. So what ended up happening was that he got up to start his day to go check on the distillery and to do everything, went to go put his key in the door, realized he forgot his coffee, put his keys back, went to the house and grabbed his coffee, and the distillery blew up.
Shut the fuck up.
He's like, had I not forgot my coffee that morning, I would have been dead.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So
I didn't know that part.
They've since rebuilt.
Oh yeah. It's beautiful there.
But, God,
if you're ever in the Akron part of the area in Ohio, look up Wolf Creek Winery and go. It's really nice. Great views.
Yeah. Food you can get ordered there. It's awesome. So
anyways, we're kind of veering here.
But that actually lays some credence to it, because as we're going to learn with this is that whiskeys and spirits and everything, they take a long time to make. And this gentleman that did that, he spent I think it was 3 to 5 years prepping all this stuff and was only open for a little while, and then it blew up. And what's interesting to me is that kind of made me have a much more deeper respect for the art, a much more appreciation for the drink itself. So We're just on scoopwhoop.com. And again, the link is in the description below if you guys want to follow along. But this is just 17 astounding facts that, 17 astounding facts that you probably don't know about whiskey. And we're just going to kind of go through them and see if we can learn something. So as much as like how we did the beer facts on the Copyright 425, this is the next evolution of...
Is there a liquor bitch? There was a beer bitch in the last one.
I've only read half of these, so I don't know what the rest of it is going to ensue. So there could be a goddess. There could be something.
I don't have my... Damn it. Second episode, guys, my bad. I forgot my gigantic mug. That was where...
Not Corona. I know.
That was where I got it. You'll understand I'm kind of like Indiana Jones.
He is.
I found the chalice of the beer goddess. Yes. And that's what I drink out of, that giant glass.
Which, if you would like to watch the first episode to see how this started, I'll put that in the description as well.
Yeah, do that.
You can see the chalice.
But and the difference in the look, you'll see. But yeah, that was our journey. So yeah, don't forget Indiana Jones. That should be my name from now on, underneath Indy.
Indy? From now on, welcome back to the show. As always, I'm joined by Indy. Now, starting off here, just with the list of what's on here. This is number 1. It says, whiskey starts its life as beer. A deliciously true story. Whiskey is made from wort, W-O-R-T, which is the beer that gets distilled. In fact, wort is made out of all the ingredients that you would find in a glass of chilled beer, which is water, yeasts, and malts. Moreover, this process is used to prevent unwanted pests. So it actually, as it's fermenting and as it's going through, it actually shares the same makeup of beer. It's just, it's done differently in the process as it continues on.
Man, so, it's been... Ew. Like 15, no, a little longer than that, but when I was in college.
We were all in college.
But I took a wine and spirits class that was actually part of my...
Oh, okay.
And I don't remember that. That seems like that's a pretty common fact, like kind of 101, but I don't recall that being said. But anyway, that's okay.
These are not like long or in depth. They're really cool with some slight descriptions. But so number 2, we spell Scottish and Canadian whiskey without the E, and others as whiskey with the E. So this is funny.
Oh, wow. Now that I'm like thinking about it.
So think about this.
No shit.
It says this. It said this is whoever wrote this was really clever. To E or not to E, that is the difference. When it comes to spelling, only refer to Scottish/Scotch whiskey or Canadian whiskey without the E. If its origins are rooted elsewhere, opt for whiskey, which has the E in it. So depending on what you're getting, you'll get a better taste and a better whiskey out of it.
Well, I do know this, that technically, but they break the rule all the time, but like kind of almost like legally speaking, you can't call something champagne if it didn't come from Champagne, like if the grapes didn't come from Champagne, France, because
really
that's where it's from. Huh. So you have to call it sparkling wine.
No shit. Okay.
But they don't.
I've had a multitude of things at weddings that I've never given a shit about the name. It's always just been, it was all right. It was free. So like whatever. But
well, yeah. Right. But everybody's like, oh, champagne, this champagne. But it's technically not in a sense. I do remember that.
Now, let me ask you this. For number 3, how old do you think is the oldest whiskey? Because this says the oldest whiskey is over blank years old. So I'm not going to have you get the exact number. But if you had to guess.
Like you can always buy, like, or is it like one thing? Does it state that?
From what it seems like, I don't know if this is something that you'd be able to purchase, and we'll get into.
Okay, that's what I was asking.
So it's old. So if you had to guess just a number of like what it would be, this and
I'm assuming it's triple digits.
100%. Yep.
I'm gonna say 326.
Ooh, The oldest whiskey is over 150 years old.
Okay, well, I mean, okay.
I'm gonna butcher this name.
I figured 100 to 150 wasn't high enough for some reason because that was my first go-to.
I would have expected it to be a little higher myself, but now that like if you think about it, it's like 150 years is still a long damn time. You know?
Yeah.
So, but this says the 400 milliliter bottle of Glenavon special liquor whiskey holds the Guinness World Record for being the world's oldest whiskey without the E. It is rumored to be packaged in between 1851 and 1858 and was owned by an Irish family until it was auctioned off to Bonhams in London and fetched for a staggering, I think this is 14,000 pounds. So yeah, it's
See, now I've often wondered, something being that old, how fucked up would you get?
You probably would have yourself a small glass with a lot of ice. Like it's just, you know, you don't need nothing else.
Yeah,
like
I would imagine. I would imagine it's gotten a little better with age.
Oh God, that is just so
like
much
stronger.
time.
Yeah, I would imagine it's gotten some strength to it, but
that's something like I don't know if it would necessarily be that, but that's something that I would really love to be able to do one day is to get a good glass, maybe not buy a whole bottle because like of something that's super old because that's just so.
Oh no,
ridiculous,
I want to do that. I want to do that, like get an actual bottle of something, and I've always wanted to get like one of the really expensive bottles of champagne,
all right.
just to have one of those like for a special occasion.
Right.
Like, I don't know. Just I don't know. Maybe when I retire, like on my deathbed, be like, all right, pop that cork.
It's been chilling in the fridge for a long time.
Yeah.
Or sitting or what. I don't know how you properly store whiskey, but no, it's
Dark place.
With dark places. Yeah. Dark places. Whiskey takes me to dark places and it's stored in dark places. No, it's so interesting to me that, I mean, alcohol is such an interesting way of having a craft and like the patience that it takes and just knowing where it's like the work you're going to put in now, you literally have to set and forget and hope that what you did worked. And it's like, it's insane. So 150 years is incredible.
It's a long ass time.
Number 4, Macallan M whiskey, no E, is the most expensive in the world. A Lalique decanter of Macallan M whiskey was auctioned off for, I'm hoping that these are pounds, but it says 300, correct me in the comments if not, but it's 393,109 pounds this year in Hong Kong and came to be known as the world's most expensive make of this alcohol. It's probably not pounds because it's in Hong Kong, but 393,000 some
whatever
kind of currency.
Hong Kongese. Kind of like the loonies.
How can you take an economic crisis seriously? The luxury decanter contains 6 liters of whiskey drawn from the Spanish oak sherry cask dating from the 1940s to the 1990s. So that is the most expensive. So if you want to get yourself the most expensive whiskey, it is Macallan M whiskey, no E. As we've learned, that's important because it's more authentic.
Right.
So it's in. I would actually be very curious to do like some more research, especially on this Macallan M whiskey, because the picture that they have here on the site, if you guys look at it, it's gorgeous. The bottle looks amazing. It's almost as if it's like a piece of art.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually it's encased in this particular picture. It's in like almost like a plexiglass or a glass container. That's on top of something like in a bar where like, this is the one that like, our whole high profile, like, you know, mobsters just came and get the Macallan or whatever. Like they just, you know,
we had when I worked at the liquor store downtown, it was weird. We would get this bottle in. Now, granted, it was not something of that nature, but it was this weird Crown Royal, and it was like 1 or 2 bottles. Kyle, it was like $500 or some shit, and I was like,
what?
Why the fuck is this here?
Are there actual people that buy that in this area?
Right. If you guys don't know where we live, but nobody buys that kind of shit around here.
It's like somebody in Derry, Maine going into a liquor store and buying
Yeah,
that. No, nobody in Derry has the ability to live off of any kind of money that's going to do that.
So
yeah.
It's so funny that you say that, because I literally was like, why the fuck are these here?
Yeah.
And my boss, she was like, oh, because it's getting close to Christmas. I was like, okay. And who's spending $1,000 fucking dollars or $500 on alcohol in one shot? She's like, you'll see. She purposefully had me. I was pissed for a minute because I was in the liquor store for it was like two, maybe 3 days. Instead of working the drive-through, like making more tips.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Because there was this gentleman that walked in one night dressed in a very nice suit. It was snowing. It was like perfect, like a fucking movie scene. Just those nice big flakes. I remember I remember this.
It's my favorite. My favorite type, man.
He had the big like pea coat, and he was like, young man, do you have the, and he goes, yep, it's right there. It was in the glass case because we put it away every night. It was one of those. Mm-hmm. And I was like, yes. And he was like, oh, and then he grabbed a bunch of other shit. Well, it was a Christmas party. I'm not going to say for what place because it's kind of local. Mm-hmm. They were throwing a Christmas party, and that's what the owners and stuff got to split between them every Christmas. And then they bought the rest of very good alcohol for the rest of the party.
Right.
And he goes, yeah, man. He's like, we buy it every year. And I was like, that's why. And I was like, is it really that good? Because she knew. Mm-hmm. And he goes, try it.
I'm sorry?
And I was like, well, I was like, I can't right here because I'm on camera.
Right.
He goes, well, go have a cigarette. I was like, yes, sir. And walked out.
Damn right. You got a chance to try a $500 bottle of something. You better try it, man. Yeah,
Kyle, it was pretty good. Maybe could see why granted, I kind of disrespected it a little bit because I mean, I had to though, and he understood, but I had to basically take a shot of it. I couldn't just sip on it.
Right.
But he was like, no, man, try it. And that's why my boss had me in the store. She knew I would get to try it because that was part of the tip that he gave you was you got to try some of it. That was the whole thing. I forget. It may not have been exactly $5, but Kyle, it was really, really fucking expensive. And for Crown Royal, think about that. And man, it was really good. I would never spend that much money. I would have done it once and been like, fuck.
Right.
But getting to try it for free, or maybe doing something like you're saying, as far as getting a glass or something at a really high profile restaurant,
spend $30 once or something
to get a glass of it.
Yeah.
It was awesome. That was a really cool, granted, that's not really, I mean, it is, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
well, I think that, this next thing is just going to puff this up even more to be even better. The word whiskey, no E, means water of life. Whiskey comes, again, I'm going to butcher these things, but whiskey comes from the Gaelic word which reads a usage breathe, which translates as water of life. It later came to be pronounced as Yusuki, which then turned into whiskey. We say more. So that's how the language evolved. But the true meaning of the word whiskey is water of life. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. That is odd.
Yeah. Because I don't know if
very odd.
I don't know if anybody's ever just looked at whiskey and went, hey, you know what? I bet there's a lot of life inside. I don't know why I just went Scottish or Irish.
Fountain of youth.
He said, "We, Charlie."
No, that's really interesting. Probably because they were fucked up when they thought of that.
What's
They're like, yeah, it's a fucking youth. Like water, whiskey.
It's funny is that I have this deep fascination for different languages whenever they refer to water. One of them, it's kind of with like, as my writing process with like what I've done is that there's a word, petrichor, which basically what it is that there's two different definitions. Is that one, it is the smell that rain leaves on grass. Okay. That piece of the idea of like when the storm is done, that peaceful smell that nature leaves. And then also the second definition is the water that flows through the veins of Greek gods. So it's just, there's always really interesting symbolism when it comes to water. Like even like when God's voice is described, it's described as crashing waters. Like when you think of Niagara Falls, it's deafening. Like, or water can also, it can trickle. It can be very peaceful. It's interesting how languages have done that over, the time.
And it's also like you're saying with languages, how it used to be called, what was it? Yusuki?
It was a USKI, so Yusuki or Uski or whichever. Okay. Yeah.
So probably Yusuki because if it's whiskey, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but even how like that changed. Kind of like it's interesting how things like that, like just one day because somebody's like, no, it should probably like let's keep it close. One of my exes, not going to say the first name, but last name is Wenham. Mm-hmm. That was not always the pronunciation of their last name. It used to be Venham.
Oh, okay. So that interesting. They did it to make it easier, or like
sure.
Okay.
But not only that, but there's actually a Wenham. Like I think she said there's a Wenham road or like county in somewhere in like the United States because of them. They're like that kind of thing. But that just made me think of that as how it started off as one way, but maybe to be like, hey, let's make it a little more American or a little more this, or maybe not so hard to pronounce, or maybe they were running from somebody. Like you never know. It's something, but it's one day it was just all of a sudden whiskey.
Languages just change drastically at different times. It's insane.
Kind of crazy because I was like
gradual,
I was like, no shit. When she told me that, I was like, wow, okay. But yeah.
This next one, this so far in the ones I've read, this has been my favorite. And this is really interesting.
You cheater, you already read. No, I'm just kidding.
Damn right. I read half of them. The other half will be just like Endgame. I'll have no idea and I'll probably cry. This implies that the other side gets their share as well. It's called the Angel's Pinch. Approximately 2% of whiskey gradually evaporates through the barrels each year. This is famously known as the Angel's Share and is closely knit with customs in some places. So the science
is cool.
So the idea of the science of this is that naturally over time, only 2% of the barrel each year is lost.
Well, what is that thing where it's like they say that they have weighed the weight of your spirit? Mm-hmm. It's like, what is it, like 0.07 pounds or something like that? BJ
always used to talk about it, where she was talking about like when she would work in like nursing homes and like, or like when like they'd weigh them before
because
and
after. They break it all the way. Yeah. It's not just, you're 139 pounds. It's 139.0765. Like it goes down like that. And there's actually like a movie or something, but that's really cool. That's kind of what it made me think of, is that the Angel Share, like that's all right. Probably my angel probably gets most of it because he's like, this motherfucker.
Our buddy TJ once wrote a song. I don't know if he ever finished it or if it was in concept, But he came up with this idea of having like the idea like if your guardian angel was just very apathetic. And it was my guardian angel's an alcoholic. So yeah, it was just kind of funny. So this one is really interesting. This is just from a money standpoint. Again, it's the same symbols of whatever this currency is. So just think about it like this.
Hong Kongese?
Well, this says Scottish whiskey.
Oh.
So we had Scottish, we had, Hong Kong, we had all that stuff. So it's whatever. What?
I have to ask John.
Oh, damn right, I'm going to ask John.
Like, hey, what is this?
You would know, right?
Right.
I hate it when people assume that of me because I'm American. They're like, what does this mean? I'm like, I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's only thankfully, or because recently we've gotten connected with some really awesome people that are outside of the States.
And you can't know who they are.
So not yet.
So fuck right off. No, I'm just kidding.
One
day.
So whatever this is, I'm just going to say pounds just for sake of argument, but it says Scottish whiskey generates 135 pounds of revenue every second.
Excuse me?
Yes, that's the figure. Scotland exports whiskey, no E, at the rate of just under 2,500 bottles per minute. So the revenue is not so unbelievable now, is it? 2,500 bottles per minute. So yeah, it is a very lucrative industry. Very profitable. We should make some whiskey. We should figure something out.
No wonder I always like to get drunk. It's part of my heritage. Oh, McFadden.
Oh, what heritage is that? Is that?
It's Irish.
Oh, it is Irish? Okay, I've never known. I heard I was like part German at one point, and I was kind of
I'm part German, Irish, and Cherokee. I'm like a weird mutt.
Yeah, I just, it's one of those where it's like there were some people.
At least that's what I always heard. So, Mom, correct me if I'm wrong.
I think, she will.
Comment.
Uncle Steve actually said at one point that he did the whole Ancestry.com.
I'd like to do that.
Yeah, like to
I would really, I really like to do that.
However,
so where's your dad from?
I don't know where anybody's from.
Never mind. You didn't catch that.
No, I don't.
Nothing. Just continue.
Yeah. So for whiskey, life starts at 40. Scotch whiskey, no E, needs to be bottled at a minimum strength of 40% ABV or alcohol by volume.
Yep.
Which means life really begins at 40 for this fabulous drink.
I got 2 years before I'm alive.
Some whiskeys can also have strength up to 60% ABV. Word of advice, always check the label to know how much you can handle. So if you guys don't know that already, know it. But now what I will say was that Eric and I did make a discovery while we were sick this past week. Was that Blackberry Brandy is actually 75.5% alcohol.
No wonder I was always fucked up when I was sick.
You just slept? Like, dude, it just knocks you out. Like,
well, speaking of where I worked, that's how I knew. Mm-hmm. Guys, I don't get sick. I don't get colds. I don't get sinuses. I might sneeze, have a head congestion for like a day or two, and I'm over it. Well, one day working at said place where I got the awesome liquor, one day this gentleman walked in and grabbed two half-gallon, so a gallon worth of Blackberry Brandy. And I was like, well, somebody's having a great evening. And he said, nope, this is my medicine that I stock up for pretty much the year or whatever.
Yeah.
I was like, medicine? I was like, oh, just some old, wino basically. And he's like, no, man. He's like, you ever have a head cold? Or he's like, basically other than puking and like shitting your brains out. But he's like, anything other than that, fevers, muscle aches like that or anything. He's like, you drink as much as you can, not as much as you can, but before you get to that like fucked up drunk.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just if you know that you can handle 7 shots, take 3, maybe 4.
Yeah.
Get to that point and then go to bed. Especially if you've got like a cold, strep throat, anything like that. And I was like, yeah, right. He's just some drunk, right? No. One day, it was like months later, I got really sick. Not sick, but just a really bad head cold, all this stuff, really bad sore throat. I tried everything for 2 days. Went to work. I wasn't like contagious or anything, but I just felt like shit. And mom had even brought me stuff like Claritin.
Oh God,
and
she's the mobile doctor.
Oh
dude.
yeah. But she brought me all kinds of stuff that should have worked. Nothing touched it. Again, it was like a day or two into it. So then I went, all right, I'm gonna buy like a little pint of this Blackberry Brandy. Drank half of it. Woke up the next day, felt like $1 million fucking dollars.
It is every single time that we have and drank Blackberry Brandy whenever we've been sick as a dog.
Mom and
fixes everything. It's
our stepdad does not drink. He did, but like anymore, like he does not drink. Well,
a 6-pack of beer sat in our duplexes.
Like 9 months.
It was in the duplex's garage refrigerator because we had one. And I actually opened it up at one point to like, I think mom said like, go grab the hot dogs or like we have like meats or whatever. And I went and grabbed it and I kind of went upstairs and I was like, there's still beer downstairs. And she's like, oh shit, I should let Mike know. She's like, we both were talking about it. We couldn't remember where it was at. So
it was my God. He really does not. He might have a 6-pack a year.
Right.
But if he gets sick, he will he'll drink a stiff like hot toddy or take some shots. It does coat the throat, but it's just as strong as every other like normal liquor.
It was 75.
I was pouring us a drink because I was making our hot toddies the one night and I looked and I was like, holy shit. I was like, we're fucked up. Like, we were just trying to get better and it worked. Yeah. It worked, but yes.
Yeah, it's honestly, I've had times that, you know, whether it's you, mom, or, you know, just anyone else that I have been sick around, that I'll go from my voice being crackly and being this, and then after a hot toddy or after a shot or something, after some time has passed, mom has looked at me before and she's like, you even sound better now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it just, I don't know what is it. It's got to be the antioxidants or something in it. Like, it's insane.
I don't know. I think a lot of it has to deal with, I could be wrong. Comment below if you know. I don't know. I just know that it's all right. There's other brandies, guys. There's peach. There's like I think like apple. I think there is other flavors, but blackberry is the most tolerable that I've found, and that this gentleman had said. But
yeah,
if you know why it works, tell us. I've heard it's just because you sweat it out. You can kind of do it with any liquor, but the brandies have like a coating effect, almost like honey. It's more of a syrup, not a liquid.
It 100% like helps numb your throat. Like it's insane. Like it should not work, and it does. It's insane.
I had a really bad tooth one time, not a bad tooth, but I don't have my wisdom teeth taken out. I'm 38 years old. I have one that I took out, but I was like cutting one. Like they would always do that, like come in and then back down and then come in. And I bought a little bottle of Yukon Jack one night, and I wasn't even trying to get drunk, man. I was literally sipping and just like letting it sit in the corner. That shit works, man.
It's honestly,
but I got fucked up.
Well, you think about it, like even like I loved it whenever I would play Red Dead Redemption like 1 and 2. And you would see like, you know, these tonics or like, you know, these things.
Yeah.
Like, they were just these like methamphetamines or these like opioids or like, you know, the alcohol or like things like that. Where it's like they done correctly.
It does.
I'm not saying do meth. That's not what I'm saying. But it's like it was.
No.
It was more so amphetamines.
No, don't do.
No.
But no, like think about it. When you see old like movies or like even some video games or something, and somebody's getting something done, they'll crack a bottle of something and be like, take a swig of this and then bite on this.
Yep.
Because I'm about to do this.
Yep. Because it numbs.
It doesn't numb, but he's basically being like, let me get you drunk. I'll cut off your veins so you don't bleed to death. Like I can do that. Like, so yeah.
Well, but no, it's as far as just like the alcohol percentage and everything, we learned a lot of what that is. But it's like even with, you know, whiskeys and stuff, those are in the realm of like they start at 40, they go to 60. And then, they can, be a plethora of different percentages depending on what you're buying. There could be more intense ones, lesser. So, but number 8 says whiskey needs at least 3 years to age.
Okay.
It is only after a minimum of 3 years of aging that Scottish whiskey, no E, can be called Scotch. Some distilleries hold casks of whiskey which are a grand 70 plus years old. So there's a plethora of different things that are in stock with that. Now, it's just kind of more of like a fun fact. There wasn't a lot with that. This next one is very interesting. Number 9. No one knows who invented whiskey. No one knows who the first one was to find out how to make this magic drink. It's believed that whiskey was originally crafted by monks, which made it a holy spirit. Holy spirit. But it all changed when King Henry VIII dissolved all of their liquor-ridden monasteries. Poor sober monks. So
I could see that though. I mean that makes a lot of sense.
It makes you think of like the pastor who brews his own beer and has his thing where it's like, it's like I got this in my backyard and I do this. It's like they probably used it for a plethora of different reasons.
Yeah.
I
mean, it's used for sterilization. It was used for medicine. It was used for anesthesia, basically. It had a lot of different kind of properties at one point.
Wine is actually one of the bigger ones that I remember even from New Testament study how you would hear about how they would
maybe we'll do a wine one.
Wine, I think wine's going to be a very good one. I think that's going to there's so much to unpack. It'll probably be like a 3-piece series. So but there's times that Paul, is sending letters to Timothy and he's like, "Hey, it's okay to put some wine in your water." It's because it was done to kill the parasites and the stuff that they were having because Timothy was having very bad stomach pains and everything.
Before filters and
wine was used to cut it to help essentially basically kill everything because it was the whole mentality of him being like, "Oh, I don't want to drink. I want to be honorable to my Lord," kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And Paul was like, "No. Please do. You're gonna die if you keep drinking this water. So please do so.
Get drunk.
Yeah, do not forsake it." So, but yeah. So that was interesting. So no one knows really where whiskey came from, but thank God that they did.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing it. So whoever you are, if it was the monks, we greet you in silence.
It's probably the monks.
Number 10. Besides the malts, there are 7 regional whiskeys, and one of them is Indian. So the next time you drink your glass of antiquity, make sure it is a Patiala Peg Full Desi style, which is, it says Scottish, American, Canadian, German, Irish, and Austrian are the regional whiskeys available. So there are many different places that you can get it from. So Scottish, American, Canadian, German, Irish, and Australian. So a plethora of different origins of such a thing. So, yeah, but 7 regional whiskeys and one of them is Indian. I never would have
thought of that.
I don't. When I think of Indian, I mainly think of a curry or a really
and
good food.
That's not a slight. That's because you're
you had curry,
right?
It's delicious.
It's delicious.
It's fucking delicious.
That's actually something I want to dabble in and learning more of. Cooking is Indian and Chinese food.
Indian food is we actually had
real
the authentic.
Yeah, not just I threw some curry or I threw some General Tso's on. No. I mean cooking it correctly.
Yeah,
but yeah,
because I always remember the guy that said because cumin's always something that's mainly used. Cumin, yeah. He basically said, he's like little poor man's tip. If you want a home style chili dog, just take a hot dog, cook it how you normally would, and sprinkle some cumin on the top of the hot dog. It will taste exactly like you rolled it in dirt. It's a terrible standalone spice. He's like, it has to work with other things.
Yeah, it's not what you're thinking.
He was like, he made a joke about Tony Chachere's, which apparently is like one of the best fucking things ever to use for like a seasoning. He's like, you put it on a rubber band sandwich, make it taste like a good old fashioned mama gumbo. Like,
Oh yeah.
So
I'm gonna watch this dude.
and he got. I'll throw it on after this, but he basically said something to the effect of, he's like, now back to cumin. He's like, actually, Tony Chachere's has nothing to do with anything. He's like, I just like talking about it. Yeah, so it was funny. So Indian people make some really good whiskey as well.
All right.
So
I'm gonna keep an eyeball out for it.
number 11 says it has health benefits too.
Mm-hmm.
Drinking whiskey can prevent cancer. Drinking a moderate amount of whiskey can actually have benefits. Drinking whiskey, again, we're going to the no E, can prevent cancer, reduce the chances of a stroke, and also reduces the possibilities of heart diseases. And that's not it. Drinking 1 to 6 glasses over a week can lower an adult's risk of dementia. So all these guys that are like old, like biker dudes that are like have been drinking whiskey for years, it's like they're still sharp,
they're still
you know?
hard asses.
It's insane. I love that.
All right.
Health
okay.
Kind of like, again, back to wine. Like wine has that
Having
thing
like
for
that
your heart.
yeah.
Like,
yeah.
everything.
Tannins? Rest in peace, Robin Williams.
Oh, God.
Even though that was a Nathan Lane.
I don't drink
line.
red because red wine has tannins.
What do you do while I'm on stage? Nothing. I lie here.
God, watch the Birdcage. If you've not
watch the fucking Birdcage.
no matter what race, age, like watch the Birdcage.
If you're
so
10 years old or above, watch the fucking Birdcage, unedited, the R-rated version, no boobs, no sex.
No, it's all verbal.
It's all verbal,
it's so
and it's
good.
fucking great. I watched it the weekend it came out, and have never liked another movie since that was that kind of movie. You'll get what I mean. Go on.
So, number 12. Jack Daniels is not bourbon.
But that came out wrong. I meant a romantic movie, not because they're gay. Oh. Sorry, that could have really been bad later.
My God, yeah. God, we got to cover our asses
Give a
on
fuck
everything.
about if they're gay.
that is something where like the roles in that movie, they could have been
Doesn't
any
matter.
gender. What matters is the type of people they are.
And when he says, because
God.
he's my companion, and he was upset,
yeah,
or he was hurt,
yeah.
When he was like, why did you? And like right there, because I love him, and he was upset.
It's actually
nothing to do.
It's one of the best movies I think that has the most heart to it in a relationship of seeing a married couple work. Even though they are way more privileged, they're loaded, they own a nightclub. I get that, but it's like
that almost didn't even almost didn't even notice that.
They could have worked at McDonald's.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't have mattered.
Right.
Like so
Birdcage, go watch it. Next fact.
Jack Daniels is not bourbon. This is a common misconception. The deep smell and lasting taste of Jack Daniels actually represents Tennessee whiskey, not bourbon. So Jack Daniels, while I've had it, it's been very, very good. It's more, it is a whiskey, which this would be a Tennessee whiskey with an E.
Well, that's what I was saying. It does say Tennessee whiskey.
Mm-hmm. So they're not like trying to like get one like a fast one on you or anything like that. But yeah, so Jack Daniels is actually not bourbon. It's more of a whiskey. This next fact is actually one of it's probably my second favorite to this, and it's so cool because this will definitely open up a conversation of mixed drinks and the things that you can do, more particularly with chasers. But number 13. Mountain Dew was originally meant to be a whiskey chaser. I did not know this. Barney and Allie Hartman were just a couple of bros looking to get their whiskey on, so they went ahead and invented Mountain Dew. The tagline had nothing to do with the Dar or Jeet. The original slogan was Yahoo Mountain Dew, it'll tickle your innards. Seriously, that was the slogan.
See, I always heard that Mountain Dew was a mixture of like orange juice and like a grapefruit or something like that.
It's got some really dominant properties that when mixed, they don't taste the way that you think.
But that's really fucking crazy. I'm not a Mountain Dew guy. Let me take that back. I'm not a normal Mountain Dew guy. It takes a certain day on a certain taste bud, on a certain thing I may be eating or whatever to be like,
a Dew sounds good.
A Dew sounds good. Kind of like, y'all are underestimating Sprite and 7-Up because I do it all the time, especially root beer and cream soda, motherfuckers. You better go do that, especially when we're talking about chasers. You want to talk about a good chaser. If you're not a bitch, you don't need a chaser. But every once in a while, I do like a flavor palette with the whiskey and or any type of thing. Don't underestimate cream soda, root beers, and 7-Ups and Sprites. 7-Ups and Sprites all through the summer.
To me, I think they're actually the
Slept on.
They're the most satisfying,
refreshing beverage.
Soda. Yeah.
So yeah. Anyways, let's go.
I actually find myself craving more of a Canada Dry or like a Sprite.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Like trust me, I love me some Dr. Pepper. I am a Dr. Pepper apologist.
Like me some DP. Wait. Whoa. Dr. P.
Hey,
no, still not it. Dr. Pepper. There we go. You got to say the full thing, or it's
Hey man, look,
you can't even say D Pepper.
Whatever.
Because
oh my God. Deep. Oh my God. Don't Google it.
Next.
Number 14. One of the Jesus Christ.
See what happens. See what happens up here.
Number 14. One of the basic ingredients of Tabasco sauce is whiskey. Tabasco sauce is actually aged in barrels that
I wonder I love it.
We actually do. We have some.
Oh yeah.
Hell yeah. Tabasco sauce is actually aged in barrels that previously contained Jack Daniels.
Okay.
It gives the sauce an extra kick and that lovely sting.
Wow.
So that's
okay.
So it's not like a main ingredient, but it's the main like the storage of what they're put in. It's actually a property
beautiful.
of it.
That's awesome.
I don't know. Like I love hearing stuff about this, and I know there's an entire art form not only to just making alcohol, but also I don't know if you've seen the different like beers that are stored in like Kentucky like barrels or whatever. Like you get like that Kentucky bourbon, like like I don't know, not like a Yingling, but like whatever is that particular one. Like
fun fact, Yingling wasn't allowed out of Pennsylvania up until like 10 years ago.
Dude, it's insane because I remember having
people used to smuggle it. People when I lived in Pittsburgh, people would offer to pay me triple for a case of cans. not a keg, not bottles, cans.
Yeah.
Like it's an all right beer. Like it's good.
It's my favorite.
It is your favorite, but it's not like some of these whiskeys are where you're like, oh man, you got that. You're like, yeah, oh, I got Lady Bly. I mean, that's a rum, but I was just trying to think of something, but it's that kind of concept when you think of all of the beers. It was secluded to PA.
That's so nuts because
it's nothing fancy.
Since I have
Guinness got to come to United States before.
That's so
I was just
so
being funny.
Weird. Like, no, it's because it's like I remember my first weekend of actually being able to buy beer legally.
Yeah,
and my buddy Jeremy, he was out with us. He always did karaoke with us, and he had his beer. And I looked at him, and I made it up in my mind. I'm like, whatever he is drinking, because I wasn't driving that night. And I'm like, whatever he is drinking, I'm gonna drink. I don't care what it is. He had himself. He looked like a tall beer, and I'm like, I want to have it. And I looked at him, and I said, Jeremy, I'm like, what do you got tonight? And he said, he's like, this is a Yingling. And I went,
wow.
Really?
It was here even.
It was up at the Red Onion.
Wait. And you were 21?
I was like 21 in like maybe a month or something. So,
wow. Yeah. So it's been, not even 10 years.
8 years. Yeah, it's been maybe just shy of 9.
Yeah, 8-10 years. But anyways, no, but yeah. Kyle, that's actually a pretty respectable beer compared to like Busch and Bud Light. But yeah,
it's what I always stuck with. I really enjoyed it. I remember thinking that, every other beer I had tasted at that point, I kind of suffered through. I really enjoyed my first beer that was legal.
That doesn't taste like beer.
It doesn't. No,
that's the thing but that was always just so weird to me that it was like secluded like that. Anyways, I rambled for a second.
I think it's an awesome thing, man. It's being able to look at that where it's like it kind of has that SLC punk, kind of mentality where it's like we drove just over the state line to go get beer. Like it's that, that idea where like if
people did that, man.
I could never justify driving the time limit it would take from, to get from here to the Pennsylvania border.
But people that lived closer did it.
But interestingly enough, moving right along here to getting close to the wrap up here is
damn it, I keep smacking the light.
The light.
You don't know what that is, but you can see it right now. It's my sweet lightsaber.
Yes, lightsaber.
Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
I always loved how he was pulling.
Oh God! Oh hey guys,
such an underrated movie. It's so great.
Hate that movie.
Well, we all can't be perfect,
and I don't like Pinocchio either. Anyways, or Dumbo. Dumbo's stupid. Hey, let's go.
Number 15.
Hate me in the comments. I know you will.
George Washington was a sucker for whiskey.
Yes.
No-y.
Of course not, dude.
If helping to found a leading nation wasn't enough, this man also had a skin in the whiskey game. A lot of skin, really. George opened a whiskey distillery, and by 1799, he was the largest producer of whiskey in the country. Between this and his appreciation for cannabis, we know George was one man who would surely get the party going. So not only was he the president of our nation, but he ultimately was like, no, man, I'm going to make sure this is distributed. Like, this is a great thing. I love this. And his teeth were made of wood.
Yeah, dude. I will say one thing. What's really funny is,
I'm going to coast right here with 16. It's not going to interrupt you.
Okay.
Screw this first person, but it says, and he's not alone. Hillary Clinton, Winston Churchill, Thomas Jefferson, Mark Twain, they all loved whiskey, and it is also Johnny Depp's favorite drink. So just a bunch of different people. So
whiskeys tend to not have a big effect on me, but I do know one thing. Jameson. That fucks me up bad for some reason, and what's weird is it's my quote heritage, and it's no more than the Blackberry Brandy, Jack Daniels, some of these other things. There's something in it. If I do more than I have a certain amount, I don't want to say out loud.
You're fine, man.
But I'm just saying, I have to watch it. That is one I have to watch. Not that I get mean, but that is one thing I have blacked out on before. Yeah. And it's left a lasting impression. Again, nothing bad. It was just I don't like that. I don't like not having control over who I am.
Yeah.
But picklebacks are actually really good. If you're going to do chasers.
Yeah.
A non-bitch chaser is picklebacks. It's just Jameson and a swig or a sip of pickle juice. It's fucking delicious. Go try it if you're 21.
Yes. Everything is. There's going to be a disclaimer at the beginning of this is that we only condone overage drinking. So yeah. But no, it's so interesting where it's especially, with all types of alcohol, there's a way that you can get super creative with everything.
Is it the last one?
No, we're going to go on to the last one here. They're all kind of one thought with the last three, but the third one's going to end it well. It was just the one, it basically was what it was saying about George Washington was that he's not alone. Clinton, Churchill, Jefferson, Twain, and Depp, all these guys, all these guys and gals like this, type of thing. So, but I had a friend of mine, for instance, that, went to one of the bars that we frequented for karaoke. And he made up his own version of a peanut butter and jelly shot. He was tight with the bar, and he was just like, hey, he's like, I want to try something. Do you have this type of, liqueur or this liquor, or, this? And, it's that idea that, you can really just kind of have fun with it. You can, make stuff where it's like, dude, this tastes like Captain Crunch. This is ridiculous. Or something.
You can. So. Sometimes shit just doesn't work.
No, it just, fuck you up, so.
Yeah, we've had plenty of good things over the years. The lunchbox, the Stuntman. Well, that's not really tasty. It's just a tequila shot, but done a different way. Mm-hmm. But I've heard of the lunchbox being where you have like grape jelly and peanut butter and like this stuff when you take. And I'm like, it's too much. We do it this way. But yeah, you can get creative with stuff, man.
Right.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. It's awesome. Again, there's an art form to it in the creating and the enjoying, and then, the just atmosphere that you can create with yourself around it. Again, I relate this to, whiskey to me. I think of a cigar lounge. I think of, being able to sit outside on a really cold winter night and, going up to, a place that has a lounge that's outside that has heaters where, you can zip up your leather jacket and sit outside and have your cigar and just, talk with your buds, watch, whatever's on the TVs outside. I remember at one point we were, Joey and I were outside on, I can't remember where it was. It was, it's not important, but, essentially we were just outside, just talking about music, talking about guitars, and just, trying stuff out of being like, hey man, like, what do you think about this? Like this one, like try this, and, it was a really, really good night. So we got some really like more expensive drinks. We both said, we spent a little more than what we wanted to, but it was worth it. It was cool. But speaking of spending and, investments and, things to that effect, continuing this thought, this is the last point of this, but it's talking about, all the different people, from George Washington to Johnny Depp. It's their favorite drink. Number 17 says, and why not? After all, whiskey is a better investment than wine. Unlike wine, whiskey stays inside the bottle without changing taste for 100 years. In fact, that whiskey lasts almost forever, meaning its value can appreciate In fact, that whiskey lasts almost forever means its value can appreciate in a big way. So forget about holdings and property. Just buy a few expensive bottles and make sure you save them long enough.
Yep.
So this goes on to in the article about, there's a couple things. It says, and finally, when you learn that you don't need to get closer to the fire for it to be more awesome, or that blurred vision can make any person beautiful, whiskey definitely teaches you stuff which won't come down as advice from parents. From coping with heartbreaks to raising a toast, whiskey will stand by you, and that's why we find it awesome.
I think going back to your original question with me about that whole like favorite memory, I honestly have been trying to think of something, and again, I still go back to just kind of everything. That last statement that you just read, it's the truth.
Yeah.
I've done it from toasts to special occasions to parties to anything. It's kind of been a part, whether that was my main drink the entire night or just that one thing. That is why we actually, I do want to wrap it up. We're going on, an hour and 10 minutes, but going back to what you were talking about, that kind of older mentality. I don't smoke cigarettes anymore. Guys, you can do it. I smoked cigarettes for a long time. And I try. I don't mean I try, but like I've tried some of Kyle's and I just can't. Now, we did briefly talk the other night, and I think you probably recall this, where I am getting to that point in my life where I would love to buy some cigars and have the whiskey and have the one or two stiff drinks and a cigar a night. It's going to get you to the same point as the beers that you drink. I mean, for the most part, one shot of alcohol or one shot of liquor, it equals the amount of beer. So you kind of have that. If you think of that mentality, But that is something that I strive for. It really is. Not because, oh, I want to drink, but no, I want to be, instead of the beer snob that I used to be, where I would spend $15 on a 4-pack or a 6-pack. I want to do that with liquors and whiskeys mostly now, and like cognacs and things, to where, all right, well, this was $70. Well, but that's also going to last me or us or whatever.
This is not something you're going to pound.
No, right.
It's going to take days, weeks, months.
Correct.
Whatever,
and then I know it sounds cliche. So if you guys know who he is, comment please and tell me what you like about him or your favorite songs. But I think I would like to start, because they're not that expensive, with cigars. Is one of my favorite artists is Ritz.
Oh, yeah.
And he does have his own cigars out. He does not drink anymore, but I know that he has said that they pair very well with certain whiskeys and things. So I would like to try that. Yeah. That's something that I feel like is kind of inexpensive, and I could buy a medium expensive drink and kind of give that a shot. Whether it's 90 degrees on a summer day or 10 below on a Christmas Eve. Mm-hmm. This is something that, that's the thing I always think of, is that whiskey and cigar in the hot tub thing.
Yeah.
But
the guys that just laugh because they're so rich.
Yeah. And he said, do you want your 5-pack? No. So that's my thing, is that I do enjoy the whiskeys. I do enjoy the bourbons. I do enjoy the cognacs. There isn't much alcohol I don't enjoy, and that's not because, I want to party. I will sit there and say, oh, you got a nice hoppy beer. It's not necessarily my favorite, but I'll drink it. Let me try it.
See, I can't stomach IPAs.
I know.
Yeah, it's so weird.
But
yeah,
that's how I look at with all alcohol, is that I kind of have a taste for everything. I just know that there are certain things that are better and better tasting than others.
Right.
Just like your favorite beer is a Yingling. Well, that shit tastes way better than a Bud Light, dude.
Right.
I mean, but it's not a super expensive beer. To me, if I'm going to go that route, just because it's a slightly darker beer, I'm going to go Guinness. But Guinness gets heavy. Yeah. Yingling does not.
Yingling Black and Tan is also a really good choice.
I guess maybe that's where I always think of, but yeah. So no, you don't have to get expensive, guys. To wrap up on my side, is that this is what I was told when I went to school. Was I thought you had to have a shitload of money to get a good wine or champagne. You do not. My professor actually thought we were being funny when Watsy and I said we have about $150 combined. What kind of wine could we try for? And she was like, are you serious? And we're like, yeah, like so we can probably get like 3 or 4 good bottles of wine. And she's like, you can get like 50. We're like, what do you mean? And she's like, if you spend more than $10 to $15 on a bottle of wine, you're spending too much. That's a kind of a rule of thumb, but same thing goes with liquor, guys. You don't have to buy the most expensive or the biggest brand name because it's the biggest brand name. There are a lot of other good liquors out there and whiskeys and all kinds of stuff that if you do a little research or try something different, I was big on that. I tried other things. I spent the $15, $25 here and there to be like, you know what? I've looked at that bottle and I want to try it.
Yeah.
Experiment, guys, if you're 21 and over, and see what you like. You might like a cheaper alcohol.
Yeah.
You might have a more expensive taste, but there are reasons for that. We've read several facts tonight for that reason, but whiskeys and wines aren't that far off.
No.
When it comes to that, you don't have to spend an arm and a leg.
Some of the best wine that I've actually tasted myself that was cheap was Winking Owl, and it's like it's like $5 to $10. Even people that I work for that I know for a fact take their wine and drink seriously have been like, dude, like we don't like whenever me and my wife want to have a really good like steak dinner, if we're grilling or if we're doing something for our anniversary, if we can't go somewhere.
Isn't that the one that's sold at Aldi?
Yeah. Dude,
it's like one of the biggest wines in the world, like one of the top 5 or 10, and they sell it at Aldi.
It's great. Like it's something that's like,
if you don't know what that is, that's basically kind of like a reject Giant Eagle or Walmart.
Yeah, it's awesome.
That's the best way to put it. But yeah.
I'm really
this was fun. This was cool.
I'm excited to branch out to the other types of things. Like I'd want to do probably, again, like God, I can't fucking stop. Like like you said, doing the like wine episode.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
That's going to be great. We should also maybe do something of like pairings of like cigars and liquors or wines and foods or liquors and foods and stuff. Like that would be good.
We are gonna continue the idea of you brought up very recently doing gentleman type of things where it's like talking about like the gentlemen's clubs or like talking about like like the best cigars or like and because it's like like we're dudes, we want to talk about that kind of stuff. It's what's like that's stuff that we enjoy, and there
will be an episode about like when I say pornography, we don't mean Playboy. Hustler and putting it in orifices hardcore. Like we're talking, yes, gentlemen stuff like Playboys, higher end like gentlemen's clubs, even though they're strip clubs. Like there is a difference, guys. I mean, I know that sounds silly, but
it's where some of the most intense people went to go either have sit downs or would
because there's beautiful women.
It just that's what it came down to. Hugh Hefner was one of the most influential people in like that, like created a business literally out of nothing and owned a mansion and wore a robe 24/7. Like,
well, people always used to say that, oh, Playboy was the cheap man's porn because there was no like hardcore action like Hustler and
you don't need it.
Like I'm not trying to get graphic here, guys, but for a long time there was no lips that were allowed to be shown,
right?
Because Hugh said this is a gentleman's magazine,
right?
This is supposed to be beautiful. He got beautiful women.
Even in the most recent times that like you've picked some stuff up or whatever, like we have different Playboys that are on the back of the toilet, and 2 of them are very, very much
retro,
like very much out of history. Like one of them has a interview with Steve Martin.
Yeah.
And it's like,
I couldn't pass it up, man. I knew the man cave needed it.
My first time opening up that Playboy, I was not looking for, what somebody normally would. I'm like, I want to read what Steve Martin was doing at this point. What was he working on?
I saw that you would open it at one because they were in like plastic and like to be preserved because they probably figured they were going to be in bathrooms.
Yeah.
I saw that you had opened it and I was so pumped. And same thing, I did not look at the nudity.
No.
It had nothing to do with it. Was from 1979, guys.
Which, by the way, it was really hard to read the print. It was like
it's so small. Then I have the last one with Pamela Anderson that I put up there that I forgot I had. It was the last one before they took the nudity away, but I think they've since brought it back. But it was the last issue that had actual nudity in it before that, and that's in there too, man, because that we don't sit there and go through like it's there because it's an aesthetic, it's a look, it's a thing.
There are many different reasons that that I have those sitting where I have them, and I think that paying homage to the people in our lives, and then also just the things that I think that needs to be respected, because it's not just Playboy, it's we're gonna do I want to do an episode on like the best suits and like everything like everything like that.
I was just saying the fact there will be an episode like that, and it has nothing to do with being like raunchy. That's not. This whiskey episode was very much to kind of just give you guys a little taste. Break that in.
Like this is your trampoline, if you will, leading into the next stage of things. And that I think this is going to be a lot of fun.
Hell yeah.
If there's anything, gentlemen, or just anything in general that you guys would like us to talk about, comment below and let us know. If you have not subscribed yet, please do so and hit that notification bell. That way you never miss an upload. You can also support us on Patreon. You can everything is in the description below. Wherever you want to follow us, you can do whatever you want to do. If you're enjoying the show and want to support it, honestly, your views and likes are just as good. And
100%.
and very much appreciated. We appreciate you guys giving us your time because we know that time on this planet is precious. So thank you. But nevertheless, though, we're going to jump off of here because I have to pee-pee. And you guys enjoy the rest of your night.
Butt
Adios.
cheeks.